We've heard it called many things, from combat stress, shell shock, combat fatigue, to post-traumatic stress disorder or combat PTSD. 23% of our current Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom veterans currently suffer with PTSD. 12% of veterans from Desert Storm suffer with PTSD, and 30% of Vietnam veterans have suffered with PTSD at some time in their lifetime. Hi, my name is Laura Button, and today I would like to talk to you a little bit about combat PTSD and the stressors it places on families. My husband, Sergeant Nathaniel Button, U.S. Army retired, served 8 years in the United States Army and 2 combat tours to Afghanistan before being medically retired in late 2015 due to the injuries that he sustained while in combat. PTSD is a nightmare that our family battles on a daily basis. There are many symptoms of PTSD, and I'm going to name a few, to include anger, anxiety, depression, sleep issues like nightmares and night terrors, detachment, avoidance, triggers, reckless behavior, emotional numbing, self-destruction, uncontrollable thoughts about the events, just to name a few. However, my focus today is to focus on the families and the children that are affected by PTSD and what goes on with them. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, PTSD can negatively impact the life satisfaction and mental health of partners. Studies have shown that partners of PTSD have a higher likelihood of developing their own mental health problems. There are very little resources and information out there for families to deal and cope with PTSD. Secondary stress is a concern for the children of veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Children will often experience externalizing and internalizing of the symptoms of their parent who suffers from PTSD. This will often lead to issues at school, academic progress, peer conflicts, depression, anxiety, social anxiety in young children, behavioral concerns at school, and in other social events. A lot of parents who suffer from PTSD will feel emotionally separated from their children, or they may feel aggression towards their children. This leads to conflicts in parenting. There's 3 very specific examples of how children respond to combat PTSD. We have the over-identified child, who may relate or behave like their parent in a way to connect with them. They may mimic the behaviors of the parent suffering with PTSD. Then we have the rescuer child. This is the child who takes on the role of the parent with PTSD or their responsibilities. And then we have the emotionally uninvolved child. This is the child who doesn't get the appropriate emotional help that they need. This results in the behavior problems, depression, anger, anxiety, and a myriad of other issues. Our country is sending our soldiers off to war, but they aren't preparing the families for how to deal with them when they return, or the potential of the veteran having PTSD. It is absolutely vital to the family functioning and the family mental health that these families have access to proper care, therapy, play therapy for children. It's estimated that 5,000 to 8,000 combat veterans commit suicide every year as a result with PTSD. That breaks down to 22 combat veterans every day committing suicide. I'd like to introduce you to one of those 22. This is Sergeant Greg Myers. Sergeant Myers served honorably and proudly in the United States Army as a combat medic. Sergeant Myers suffered from debilitating PTSD symptoms that affected and shook the world of his entire family. It is crucial that resources and help for families like mine and the Myers and hundreds like us become more widely available. We need community support groups, and we also need programs specifically tailored to families and children of veterans. The family unit, the family mental health, and the overall family functioning absolutely depend on it. I hope that you will join me in helping to raise awareness about combat PTSD, the effects it has on families, caregivers, spouses, children, extended family, and help to raise awareness on the need for more resources and help for these families.